activity ahead.
Ooh. You think we'll see flames?
No, because they contained it
On this side?
this side weeks ago.
Oh wow, that's where they have the
It's
a bunch of people who've been evacuated or staying there in trailers on that flat. Yeah, so it's burned right up in here.
We're getting really close to the containment area. Yeah, we're like very close.
Damn, it was burning hot.
Oh yeah.
Wow, right down to the river too.
Yeah.
How did it get across these gaps? Where's the Trinity?
Oh, is this the Trinity? Oh, that's so beautiful. You know what's amazing? I haven't seen one person fishing up here.
Yeah, it's not the high season yet, so it's still early.
Will this river stack up with people? Like during the good times?
During the good time, you'll see some drift boats and there'll be people out, but it's never that crowded. I'm never fighting for a space.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of drift boats on like a weekend during the high season. Like if you're fishing a hole for like an hour, you'll see maybe like 1 or 3 drift boats come out.
That's not even that many.
Yeah, but over the course
to like
of the
what's
day,
happened in Colorado and Montana and all these states, like we're like literally like, if you can find a place to cast along a 10-mile stretch of river, like you're doing good.
That's such a bummer. Yeah, no, that's not for me. I think that takes away from it so seriously.
Yeah, it does.
Wow, I see it burn on this side too. I'm so surprised that the monument was so intense because it was burning in the path of a fire from not too long ago. Oh, is that a fisherman right there?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one. There's a guy out there.
Is that a good spot that he's in?
I don't know.
Do you know that spot
I've never
that he's
fished
in?
there. The river's low and clear. It's so clear. Look at that water. You can see the bottom from the road.
Well, because it's been so dry. Maybe this...
I think the flows are just low. They control it from the dam.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I think they're just mimicking what would naturally be occurring right now, which would be pretty low flows.
Well, they also got to keep their lake up, right?
But when I was up here in May, even despite the drought, they were blasting water out of it.
Really?
Yeah, because just mimicking the snow melt and stuff, and washing all the smelt down into the Klamath. If you get the bear tag in Willow Creek, we should also get you a fishing license and a steelhead card.
What's a steelhead card?
You're technically supposed to report all the steelhead you catch, whether they're native or non-native.
Can you keep the non-natives?
Yeah, but not the native.
What is the distribution of catch?
It's far fewer natives. I don't know exactly what the distribution is.
But in your experience?
2 non-native for every 1 native.
That's good.
Yeah, it's not horrible. But I think the natives are really struggling as of late, is what I was reading. They also did a whole Trinity River restoration project along this section where they added bends in the river, added gravel bars for tailing and spawning, put some structure along the bank's logs. It was I think it's a big project.
Very cool.
And they did it in collaboration with the Yurok, where the downriver tribe on the Klamath. The Trinity is my favorite size river.
It's perfect.
Perfect size.
That's a very
my favorite size of river is just big enough to where you can barely wade across it.
You're right.
As soon as you can't wade across it, it's too big for me.
You're
and if it's easy to wade across, it's too small. It's just right in that sweet spot.
I couldn't agree with you more. It is a beautiful size. It's a perfect river.
Yeah. The Klamath, too big for me. I love looking at it. But it's so powerful. Fishing it, it's just a lot to handle. It's intimidating. And you can't cover the whole river, really. You see a beautiful hole on the other side, and you're like, oh.
I think both bigger and smaller have their place, but if you forced me to fish one river for the rest of my life, it would look a lot like this river right here.
Yeah. So this is the North Fork of the Trinity up that way. Yeah. You can't fish it off limits
For what?
for spawning purposes.
They use that for spawning.
Beautiful water.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only tributary of the Trinity that you can fish is the New River, which is where we were first going to go hunting up here on the right, like downriver. And you can only fish that from September 15th to November 15th. At least, I think that's back, the regulation, again, currently. That's what it used to be when I was in high school. And it's the only tributary you can fish, and I've always wanted to fish it because it's like very small water. Deep pools because it's so like steep in there, but small water, and I've just always thought it'd be so cool to get some like Trinity River steelhead up in that canyon.
That would be very cool.
So this looks like fresh burn here.
Yeah, it does.
So maybe they've just shut the shuttle down.
Maybe you can just go now.
Yeah, I hope I wasn't like supposed to stop and wait. That'd be kind of insane.
No, they would make that more clear. Oh, that's so beautiful right there. Did you ever fish that right there?
So no, I haven't fished this far down ever. It's bigger here now, right?
That's so beautiful right there.
But this is now the North Fork ran into it, so it's a little bit bigger here.
Oh, dude, look at that river, man.
Yeah.
This is crazy, man. Have you driven this whole road before?
Yeah. I've driven almost all the way to where we're going. I've driven to Orleans. That's the farthest I've been up.
I mean, eventually you run into civilization when you get to Oregon, right?
I don't know what's in Southern Oregon. I really don't. I think the next big city is Wairika.
You mean Eureka?
No, Wairika. It is inland up to Klamath. And it's not quite in Oregon. But I don't know how far that is. I don't know.
I think that most hunters in the West are pretty aware of like where the public land is and where the wilderness areas are and like where the remote parts of the country are. But like this part of Northern California definitely gets like slept on as like a legitimate hard-hitting like wilderness area.
Yeah, because the hardcore people from the other states in the West don't want to come here because of the regulations and whatnot, and people in California
don't hunt.
Are sleeping on it.
It's definitely like it gets slept on for what it is.
I also think it is just really far. Like, let's say you're in the San Francisco area or you're in the Sacramento area. To get to where we're going, it's a 7-hour drive, maybe more.
From San Francisco?
Yeah. To Weaverville from San Francisco, it's like 4.5 hours, 4 hours at the least. And then from Weaverville to where we're going, it's another 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
So, like, it's kind of not close to any major sort of metropolitan area.
Here we are.
Like, Redding is the closest. You can smell the smoke already.
You can.
Oh, perfect timing. I think we're going to hit it right on. God, that ash is so acrid.
I love the smell of
I
it.
know, it smells really good. I wonder if that taps into some like deep desire to be near the fire, because we know that's where all the good stuff is. The nutrients.
Like we've evolved to perceive that as a good smell.
Yeah. It's amazing how spotty it's burned. It's not like burning everything. It's like very like selective.
Which is good, right? That's a healthy fire.
Yeah. Well,
this is also a north slope right here, so those are never going to burn as much.
Yeah. Why?
Because they usually have more moisture on them, and they're not as big.
Sunlight.
They're not as baked out.
I also think it's probably spotty because it burned not that long ago. At least this section did. I remember when this was burning, actually, because I was up here with some high school friends on a road trip, and we were passing by this road down to Eureka, and we could look across the river and see it smoldering and kind of flames licking in the understory there. I remember that. That was probably 2008.
Oh, wow. So that was a while ago.
But that's exactly when it should burn next, right? Like every 15 years or so.
No.
Right? I thought that's what it said in those papers we were reading.
I thought it was more like, well, they gave for different areas, right? They gave for like Arizona and Colorado and California. But like, yeah, I guess 10
A place
10 years.
this big, though, a habitat this...
I'd say like 10 years.
Yeah.
that's pretty right there.
It is so funny that we spent like a month just staring at the map, looking at this fire expanding, and now we're like right in the middle of it.
It's actually not as... I thought it was going to be like a nuclear wasteland,
Yeah.
you know, but it's actually like pretty tame. It was a pretty tame fire.
So how does this compare to the Dixie?
Yeah, Dixie was more burned.
Really? Like everything was just ash?
Yeah, the whole thing burned.
Yeah.
And it was also still like active flame in the Dixie, whereas there's nothing still burning here.
I think there probably is active flame here, but it's up to the northeast. Like up near Denny in the New River, up in the Alps. Because they're just letting it burn that way.
Right. I didn't realize that this is so far for you.
For me.
Yeah.
From LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a 10-hour drive to Weaverville.
I thought this was just kind of like your stomping ground, you know, like it's just like in California. You started in California, you finished in California.
No, I mean, California's a huge state. I don't mind the 10-hour drive. Like, to me, it gets easier and easier every time I do it.
Is it a good drive?
It's just a straight shot up the 5.
But is it like, are there a lot of cars? Is it pretty?
There can be traffic on holidays, but it's not too bad. Yeah. I think it's sort of pretty because it's right up like the main artery of California, and it's this like industrial, agricultural sublime. Like you see like big smokestacks and like cattle farms and like almond groves that just go as far as the eye can see, and then just like these gorgeous like golden hills up that roll up into mountains. Like it's a very California scenery.
And you
sometimes
guys
it
call
can be
it
like
the Central Valley, right?
Central Valley, yeah, San Joaquin Valley. It can be kind of nasty sometimes because it's like it hasn't rained in a while. It can be kind of hazy. There's a lot of industry in that valley, agriculture and otherwise. So it's definitely a little bit dystopian sometimes, but I sort of love it.
Yeah.
A lot of like
I think my drive was probably prettier though.
Oh yeah.
Dude, coming out of the I guess I don't know if you'd really even call them the Sierras, but like the northern Sierras, I guess, where
like
I drove through. Yeah.
Yeah.
That way.
I don't know if you call that the Sierras. That's the Lassen.
It's not really mountains. The Lassen. Yeah, driving through there and then like coming down, like you dip into like the northern portion of the Central Valley.
Yeah.
And
like through Chico or
yeah, there's some gorgeous like ranches you can tell.
Yeah.
Just like beautiful, massive ranches.
Yeah.
In that part of the state.
I haven't been too much to the northeast, but it does seem beautiful up there. That's where the wolves are settling.
What's that lady doing?
The few wolves that have made it into California are all settling up there.
Yeah, no, I but they're further north, right?
Maybe a little farther north.
Yeah.
But northeast corner.
Northeast corner. It's so funny reading, like California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Forest Service's Twitter, because like that's like how they release the most up-to-date information is through their Twitter. So like they've got me reading Twitter now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you always get all this information as soon as it's leaked? I feel like you're like the TMZ of like Department of Fish and Game.
Well, I have to follow their fucking Twitter.
So that's the only thing that got you on Twitter is like following all the Department of Fish and Game.
Yeah. And it's just like it's like the seventh circle of hell reading those like just like the comments that people will give.
Can you do an interpretive reading for me later?
No. I can't do it. But like everyone's like, no, like keep the forest closed, you need to save the wolves. It's like,
keep the forest closed, you need to save the wolves.
Yeah, I'm gonna save the wolves.
I mean, most people see a forest burning and they think it's a disaster. They're just like, oh, the poor
save
animals.
the wolves.
Yeah, it's true.
Like those wolves in next year are gonna be loving this burn, and they're all gonna have 3 big pups, and wolves are gonna be just fine. They're gonna benefit a lot from this fire. So do you feel like you're in like a different like wild country right now? Like anywhere I go inside Colorado, like I'm in Colorado. Like this is my stomping ground. Like this is my state. But I guess this is like because it's so far. This is kind of like a foreign land.
Well, even within this area, I feel like there's different feelings based on how far up or down river I'm going. Like around Weaverville, I feel pretty comfortable. I've fly fished a lot around there. I've been there a lot. Once I pass the North Fork, then I feel like I'm in different territory. Like I'm pushing farther out into it.
Road's close to head.
Once you pass Willow Creek and then get past Wichipeg, then I sort of think of that as Indian territory or something. Like that's a whole different vibe.
The Six Rivers National Forest and the Klamath National Forest are pretty remote.
Yeah,
they really are.
No, incredibly. Wow, this burned pretty hot in here. Yeah, should I really be stepping on it to make this? What time?
No. The road's closed ahead, and they're passing you.
Yeah, I know, but I wonder if they're trying
to hurry up and wait.
Yeah, but I wonder if they know something we don't. They're trying to make it.
No, I mean, don't step on it. Yeah, we're on vacation. We got a whole week. If we gotta wait here, we'll wait. There's worse places you could wait. I wonder if they'd let you get outside your car and then go look at the river.
While we're waiting?
Yeah.
I have really appreciated this whole process, though, because I feel like it has reinstilled, like, patience in me. Like, the amount of thought and work and, like, planning that we've put into just doing this one trip.
Yeah.
And, like, we were already talking about this back in early August and, like, starting to plan.
Dude, we were talking about this, like, 2 years ago.
Of course, 2 years ago, too. But, like, the specifics of this trip and then the audibles and everything, it's it's very meticulous, It's like...
How long ago did I tell you about your hunter education and getting your application?
True. That was back in, like, May. Yeah. But it's just cool because it's like you are slowly building towards this one moment when you take a deer. When you pull the trigger. But it's like there's so many, like, micro movements and little things you do to prepare and bits of knowledge you gather and gear you gather in order to build up to that moment, and it feels very kind of like slow and methodical and intentional. Yeah.
It's funny, like looking at like Hollywood depictions of hunting or just like popular like understandings. Like people think you're just like out in the woods, just like blasting away at everything, and it's like the reality of it could not be more different. Like,
well, I think that is a reality of some hunters, though. Like we're doing an exceptional hunt here, where we're going way out into the wilderness.
But you're very rarely you're gonna have more than one permit, and like they almost always take like a lot of planning.
But a lot of people hunt out of stands. A lot of people bait for the animals they're hunting. A lot of people.
There are
hunt
different
from their
types
porch.
of hunting, and this is a more rugged. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the most complex, precision, necessary hunts you could do. We're hunting a very cryptic, mysterious deer in a wooded forest in the most remote wilderness in California.
For sure, that's very true. But like I always tell people, like they have a picture in their head of like what hunting is, and it probably involves like guns and shooting things.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you really want to know like what hunting is, it's hiking in the dark. That's what I always tell people. Like if you want to know like what most of it is, you're hiking in the dark.
Yeah. Before sunset or before sunrise and after sunset.
Yeah, exactly. Be prepared to stop.
That smoke is getting smelly.
Or just looking through binoculars and being incredibly bored.
See, something tells me I just won't get bored doing that. Wow. This guy's going hunting, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're wearing orange. That truck's probably going hunting.
A lot of hunters. Yeah.
So we're in Del Alma. I think this is a good sign that there's so many cars here, which means they're about to let us
We
go.
didn't get here super early. Do you think these people are happy that they passed you?
I think they're thrilled. They're like, we're ahead of those douchebags. I wonder why they're still doing this here. Like, what about the drive between here and Willow Creek makes it necessary to have a shotgun.
The road's probably damaged. I can see the fire, like, kind of causing, like, stress strains in the rocks and stuff that could fall off and fall onto the road and damage the pavement and stuff.
Yeah, there might be just, like, big machines around, too, like bulldozers and engines and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Should we go socialize with our fellow hunters?
No.
That truck back there looked cool. It looked like there was some young people in there. And, like, they had, like, earrings and orange hunting shirts on.
You like that?
Yeah, they look kind of like punk hunters, you know.
Punk hunters.
Or like hunters, but also like had like bleached pink hair and shit.
Mm.
I'm interested in like hunting subcultures, I think.
Yeah.
Like I have this image of like the traditional hunter in my mind, but then like I also know that there's like more freaky people who are probably hunting too.
There's also like a lot of hunting. You'd be astonished at how many different hunting subcultures there are.
Yeah. As many as there are.
Like every state even has their own identity.
Yeah.
Every state. And then you have like upland bird over under shotgun hunters who like,
yeah,
you know, if you make like only $500,000 a year, then you're really not worth my time. You know,
if you make under
$500,000 a year, then like
why
you don't belong, because it's just like a very like
elite thing.
Elite
like
thing.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like a neocon sport.
Just like to buy one of those shotguns is like $5,000.
Why?
Because
you can't just buy a cheapie.
Well, no, because then you'll get kicked out of the club.
Oh, so it's like a status thing.
Yeah, you gotta have your nice shotgun.
And you gotta have your private land, your ranch out on the plain.
Yeah.
And then after you go upland bird hunting, you smoke your cigars and talk about the invasion of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and you
talk about like opening up Central America to like banana plantations.
That's what you do. Yeah, so there's that culture. And then there's people who like hunt lions with dogs and bears with dogs. And then you've got, like you were saying, like deer feeder hunters and private land hunters. And
what's the hunting subculture that after you go hunting, you talk about like going to raves and stuff after?
That would be California, the California subculture.
Is it just, am I the only person in that subculture?
Yeah, there's like one person in it. And he's never shot anything.
Well, I'm about to start that whole genre.
I feel like there is like in the West like a little bit of like a pushback against like old hunters, like the Old West, who like they get their horses and their scabbards and go out like old timers, you know.
Yeah.
And they got after it. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Why are people against that?
But then there's the new like Arizona, like Utah, like flat bill.
Flat bill, what's that? Oh,
like
yeah, flat bill.
Yeah.
Oh, like young guys.
Yeah, who are like, but like they get after it too. Like those guys are dangerous because they've got all the newest gear. And
I've seen those fuckers in Sportsman's Warehouse in Salt Lake City. I walked in and I saw
Utah.
I saw a group of young kids who all were kind of like wearing the same kind of like cowboy trucker, elevated country western, like, but also kind of like hip hop. I don't know. They had like a very distinct vibe where they were like, I could tell they were like young sportsmen, but who were like kind of swaggy.
Yeah.
And I have to say I was a little scared of them. I was like,
you were scared of them?
Or I was just like, they seemed like, and there was like a bunch of them and they were all together and they were all like young and they had like acne and I could tell their frontal lobes weren't like fully developed. And I was like, damn, those dudes out there like in their trucks with guns, like, I don't know, just seemed like a recipe for
Didn't like the idea of it.
No, did not like the idea of it. It seemed like a posse to me.
Yeah.
But I think that's the flat brim.
I tell you, like those flat brim hunters, people can say what they want, but man, those guys can kill some animals because they've got all the newest optics and they've got all the newest techniques and like, they're pretty dialed. They know where to go and they kill big animals.
Is there a hunting subculture that like takes an animal and then they like pray afterwards? They're like very like not maybe to Jesus, probably to Jesus mostly. But you know, like is there?
Oh yeah, like that kind of. Yeah, like let's say like Bible Belt, like deer stand, like.
But that's not sort of. I don't really care about who you're praying towards. I just wonder if people like are really.
I'm sure there's lots of people who
like are
like very religious and they like will kill a deer and say a prayer.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
cool.
that's like a very common thing in like the Bible Belt.
I'm into that.
And then I don't know, maybe Native Americans do it on their like the
Yeah.
reservation hunting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, whatever subculture we're talking about, or whatever group of or style of hunting we're doing, I feel like what interests me so much about it is just like the relationships that form when you're doing it. Between like the people who are doing it, between you and the land, between you and the animals, you and your God, whatever that is. And to me, like, whatever subculture is like forming the richest, most enlivening set of relations around the idea and like activity of hunting, like that's the littest to me. Not to reduce it to like one being better than the other or anything like that, but
I'd say this is also like that's almost the opposite of what you're talking about. But I think you would also appreciate this subculture of hunting. It's like an urban, like the whole know where your food comes from crowd. Where like all they want to do is just like get on a piece of private land close to town and shoot their deer.
just so they're locavores.
Locavores, yeah.
But like, what kind of people are that? Are they like organic food mart moms, or are they like?
Yeah, like those are just like kind of like suburban dads, or like generally vote left, and just like they're just like, oh wow, this is really interesting. They learn that it's sustainable. They learn that it funds conservation, and they're like, okay, this is how I'm going to get my food, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I feel like that's a pretty small
they
group,
would be
though.
less likely to like. Well, we're trying to really hard. The hunting community is trying really hard to cultivate those members because it's a very large market, if you will, you know.
Yeah.
And it can like do a lot to like help shore up hunting politically. It's
Yeah.
like if you can get more of those people out there.
Across the aisle.
Yeah, exactly. It shores up the political stability of hunting.
What about women?
Yeah, so they're like very much in that. There's a lot of like specifically tailored like outreach to women that would be like tailored around a lot of those messages. You know, like
I
get
very
organic
rarely-
meat for your kids and stuff. And
I very rarely see like women in the images that I've already consumed about hunting, just on like the Onyx website and go.
there's
hunt.
a lot of
There are
yeah. I would say this. There's probably more.
represented in the media than there actually are.
Yes, exactly. If you were to read this would be an interesting experiment. Read a hunting magazine and look at how many advertisements contain images of women, and then figure out what percentage of the representations were of women, and then go out and hunt and count how many women you see, and then compare the numbers, and
Huge gap.
you will see far more women represented than you will see in the field.
Ugh, I hate it. I hate representational politics like that. I mean, that's just probably advertising too. They like want to make it seem like the sport is more welcome to women because they want more women.
Yeah. And then there's also like the like sex pot hunter, you know.
Sex pod?
Sex pot, you know, like just like the sexy, like
like the woman on
sex
East
sells.
Avenue.
Yeah, sex sells, right? Like
I gotta show you
as
her
we've
Instagram.
as we've
when
known
we get back
forever.
to town.
And so I think there might be some of that in there too, you know, like
You see that in fishing magazines too. It's like hot girls holding fish.
Yeah.
It's such a ridiculous.
who doesn't love that?
It just seems corny to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just advertising, you know? Like,
It's
I don't
just
like
advertising.
advertising,
Yeah.
regardless of how it's working.
Yeah.
Whether it's, like, hot people or, I don't know, luxury. But yeah, I wonder, I'd be interested in talking to, like, a feminist hunter at some point. Like, what does that even mean?
I know that there are people, and I like kind of dismiss these conversations, but there's something that you would probably find interesting, who like talk about, they try and genderize hunting, where they'll like talk about like such and such is like rooted in masculinity, and
Which I think it is.
pushing against that, and it's just like whatever. There are people who think about that kind of stuff, but I'm not one of them.
I think hunting is rooted in masculinity, and it's not to say that women can't or shouldn't or aren't able to hunt, but I think when women do hunt, they are channeling some masculine side of themselves, in the same way that, like, when men like garden or pick berries or whatever, gather something, they might be channeling a more feminine side of themselves. But I do think there's something about like the linearity of hunting that is, and even the fact that it's just about procuring meat, that is possibly like more aligned with like masculine desire. But it's not to say that women also don't have masculinity within them that can align with the spirit of hunting, you know? Like, I don't really believe that men and women have essential genders. I think everyone has both in them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess. See, that kind of surprises me.
Why?
Because, like, I thought that, like, we were, like, doing away with the idea of, like, things being masculine or feminine. I thought that was, like, anti-progress. Like, for you to, like, why does hunting have to be masculine? Like, who says? And I think, like, this is where, like, I'm probably even a feminist. What's inherently masculine about hunting? It's just, like, an animal behavior.
An animal behavior.
And it's almost, like, sexist to say that it's, like, to claim that as masculine. Like, why is that masculine? And, like, who says?
Okay, I feel like there's a few things going on. I think there's one sort of political project that is maybe like trying to imagine a future that's like non-binary. Right? So like it's like there's not really masculine or feminine, it's all kind of just like one plane and everything is everything. But then there's also maybe another political project that's saying like, okay, like there are like binary forces in the world like masculine and like feminine. But that, like, we're not essentializing any one person as being, like, masculine and feminine and only feminine. But that, like, saying that each person, no matter what your, like, sex is, can, like, harness both genders in terms of their identity and in terms of their affinity and in terms of their desires.
Yeah.
Right? So that is a little bit more, or at least is, like, considering equality more. But in that case, like, I do think there are certain qualities of the experience of hunting that whether you want to call it masculine or something else, has a very particular, like, set of skills that are required of it and, like, mentalities that are necessary that are somehow more aligned with what traditionally we call, like, a masculine identity.
I agree. Traditional masculine identity.
And, like, for instance, like, we can call it linearity versus non-linearity. You know, like, you don't have to call it masculinity and femininity. There could be another set of forces, you know, that are binary in a way. And that the genders just happen to kind of coincide with, but it's not limited to just gender, you know?
Yeah, kind of.
Because, like, I think gathering berries and putting things in baskets, like, that's sort of a non-linear pursuit, you know? You're, like, dispersed in space in a bush and you're with.
You use this term like linearity.
Yeah.
That I'm not really familiar with the use of that term in the way that you're using it. Like,
so by linearity I mean like what's the most efficient path from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And by non-linearity I mean let's not even think about point A and point B as different points, but let's just like chill between them.
And you seem to associate one of those ways of thinking as being masculine and another being feminine.
Yeah, like I say, I hesitate to like position the genders on these 2 points because I think that's culturally constructed. But yeah, I think there are certain affinities that lead people to be more linear minded, and there are certain affinities that lead people to be more non-linear minded, and traditionally in Western culture those have been.
I feel like masculine
gendered.
is associated with logic and femininity is associated with emotion.
Yeah.
And emotion is probably more non-linear than logic.
In some sense, some emotions. Anger might be very linear. But yeah, I think you're probably right. Generally, like, the emotional register of life is more non-linear. Another way of thinking about it, I think, is, like, calculating versus meditative or something like that. Like, there's one set of affinities that's much more like, let me make a calculation to predict a future that will lead me somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the other one is like, let me reflect on my interior emotional space, on my position in the world. But yeah, I would hope to imagine a future where it's not even a matter of men or women. It's just like some people are this, some people are that, and it kind of has nothing to do with gender. You know, or some people are more aligned with this or more aligned with that. Wow, look at these dozers up there. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
What the fuck? Why did they do that? Why did they just go up there?
That's crazy.
Holy.
There was probably some precarious thing hanging right there, and
they had to like knock it down.
off.
Oh
yeah.
my god, look at this. It totally.
Crazy.
Fuck. Okay, so this is why.
This is what I would consider to be a reasonable closure. I'm willing to accept.
I mean, there are
this
boulders
closure.
in the road. Looks like a fucking. But I still don't really get why all those rocks came down onto the road. Like, is it because of the dozers or the fire? Maybe both.
It's probably both. You know, they probably had some already hanging. That some that fell off naturally, and then they realized like, okay, this whole thing is going to come down over the next 6 months.
So let's just knock it.
Just knock it off now. This is so rugged. This is even more rugged than I thought this country was.
I'm telling you, we're not even into the thick of it yet. Like, we're still in civilization compared to where we're going.
No, but just I'm talking about the topography.
Yeah. It's gorgeous, though. The clouds
This
hanging over the
topography is
woods.
so intense.
We should stop if there's a cool overlook to the new river.
Are we going to be coming up into that area?
Yeah, coming up real soon. But one last thing on the gender frontier. I think what's so interesting is once you start playing with gender and you start thinking about desire as culturally constructed and as something that's more about like play and creativity and experimentation, all of these things start moving around in really interesting ways that kind of like make you realize that like humans are much more malleable and open than we previously have thought, you know. And I think there's something to be said about the way people relate to their own gender and how they relate to other things around them, whether it's other humans who they desire or the natural world and food and all these things, you know. Like, I think it's all related and in a state of flux and play and openness. And I do think it's more related to like even what we've been thinking about, just in terms of land and hunting and whatnot and all this stuff than I think is really commonly theorized or understood. But we'll table that for.
It just doesn't really make a lot of sense from a biological perspective, though. Like from an evolutionary perspective, I tend to always resort to, like, I like thinking about things in evolutionary terms, and I think it's a useful way of understanding things.
Okay, look at the birds. The bowerbird. That is a trans bird. That's a male bird that has all those feathers.
Okay, I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying nature's queer in a way.
There's going to be, like, I'm sure you'll be able to imagine a bird species, right? But when you're talking about the exception and when you're talking about the rule,
I think
that's
that
an
in
important
evolution,
thing for people to keep in mind with these discussions.
In the spirit of evolution, the exception is often the rule. The exceptions are built into the whole logic of evolution. What do you think a mutation is? You know?
Yeah, I kind of hear you there. A little bit. We need more hunters. And so R3 is a program that has been like largely adopted by like different fish and game agencies and conservation groups. And it's called Recruit, Retain, and Reactivate. So they've found that you always need to get out there and recruit more people. To just like tell them what hunting is. That's kind of what I've done with you. It's just like, hey, like here's what hunting is. Here's why it's cool. Like you should come with me, you know, and go out there. That's recruiting. But then they've also found retention is a really big problem where like people will be like, yeah, this is cool, but like, you know, I guess I'm busy this October. They just like don't they don't stick with it.
Yeah.
And so you gotta, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because I'm an adult onset hunter, and I can't imagine not like applying for tags in every single state. They don't.
Well, it's kind of expensive.
Stick with
it. Like you're into it, but it's also taken over your life in a pretty big way that I feel like not all adults have the space or the capacity in their lives for as like immersive and totalizing of a hobby as hunting is for you.
Yeah.
Like it's a second job for you.
There's cheaper ways to do it.
No, for sure.
But yeah, it can be expensive too. You're right. But that's the second R is retain, and then the third R is reactivate. So like, there's a lot of hunters who like maybe you grew up in a hunting family, but now you don't hunt. You haven't hunted in 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, here's the South Fork. Look at Trinity. Should jump into there. Look at that. It's smaller, but it's that's awesome. So the 3 R's: retain, recruit, and what was the other one?
Recruit, retain, and reactivate.
Oh, recruit, retain, reactivate.
But anyway, everyone's always talking about recruiting hunters and getting more hunters in the woods, like, all that stuff. And like people talk about it, but there hasn't really been anything put out there that I'm aware of that is like, I am literally like, we're walking through the process of making you into a hunter. Like I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm getting red
we're
pilled.
not like discussing it. We're not like discussing the idea of bringing new hunters in. We're actually doing it. Yeah.
Well, I oftentimes think that anyone who's talking about doing something they're not doing is full of shit. Like, well, and I think that about anything. Like, if I'm reading a book, I want, like, the poetics of the book to be somehow encapsulating the thing that the book is trying to tell me.
Wait, I don't understand.
So it's kind of, like, to me, form and content must always be in dialogue with each other. So, like, what you would call it is, like, recursive about what we're doing, where it's like, we are doing the thing we're talking about. It's like praxis. Yeah. There's theory and there's practice, and then there's praxis, which is when you're theorizing and practicing at the same time.
I've never heard that, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, it's sick.
It's almost like,
I think so many times people write about something, and I'm like, well, I want you to show me you're doing the thing while you're writing it. Like, write in such a way that, like, is capturing the poetics of the thing you're talking about.
Yeah. Kind of, I guess.
What do you mean, kind of?
Like,
wait, might have that wasn't the spot, right?
A great poem or something like that, or like poetry or whatever, and like there might be like a place and time for like a very like cold and like rigorous analysis of that poetry, and like its meaning and its the innovations of the style or whatever, you know.
But to me, that's less interesting than another poet who responds to that poem by writing a poem.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what you think about the 3 R's and like what the future of retaining, recruiting.
So I'm skeptical of it.
Skeptical of what, the 3 R's or just the future
whole
of hunting?
idea of like hunter recruitment.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, but I'm also like not like I'm not recruiting you as a hunter because I want to like do my part in R3. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I. Like,
is this a psyop?
No, I'm saying I don't.
Are you getting paid to recruit me?
I don't have an interest in like pursuing R3 for the sake of R3.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people who just like take it as gospel that R3 is necessarily a good thing to have more hunters.
I mean, I agree. It sounds corny as hell. It sounds like Christianity.
Like Christianity.
It's like, come get saved with me. Like, it's like proselytizing. Like, I just think it's corny.
Yeah.
Like, recruitment
but I'm also
is so
not
annoying.
convinced.
God, look at all these totaled cars.
The premise behind it is that hunter numbers are dwindling, and I'm not even like sure I believe like the basis of that claim.
You
like,
think
I'm not
it's
sure
not
that's it might not be. I'm not convinced that it is. Now part of that might be Patriot right here. That's what he was saying. Go to Patriot.
So this is Willow Creek. This is the last like town that we're gonna see before we head out. It's kind of cute. There's like a pizza shop, a coffee shop, a smoke shop. Oh, God damn. Don't tempt me with that smoke shop. Wow, that truck. See that's just so douchey to me. Like, that does not need to be that high, right? Is there any reason that it needs
But what's
to be
douchey about it? Like, can't it just be sick too? Isn't
It just
just a
seems like
sick
it's
truck?
overcompensating for something.
Or it's just a sick truck.
Sure. I just don't find it sick, but I guess I can see how one.
You don't think that that's a sick truck? Like, you don't think that there's like
I think it's sick as in like
badass
pathology. It's like
But you don't think there's an
like whoever owns that
inherent
truck is like ill.
badassery about that truck?
No.
Oh, come on. Yes, you do.
I think there's badassery about like guy's jumpsuit that he's wearing. Who knows what we'll capture? I've been thinking too a lot about like trying to get the hunting energy and the recording energy to like sync up or something. Because it feels like both of them are about capture, and it's like about being open to the moment and situating yourself in a place where you can either like receive the deer or receive the moment when the conversation gets good or the image or whatever, it's like it's kind of, both seem to be about orientation and patience and also like receptivity.
I think they're pretty different things. I feel like you're able to draw a lot of parallels in your mind.
I know, but it's too much. Sometimes I'm like,
whereas I don't see things that way.
Yeah, you see things as very discrete, like entities.
Unless there's a really good reason why they're connected.
So why don't you see that parallel? I'm just curious.
Just like, I've got like two little doors in my mind. Like, one of them is you go out hunting, and then a different door is you make media or whatever.
But I mean, they are very similar. Like, think about like wildlife photography and hunting. You're like looking through glass, you're stalking the animal, you're trying to get the good shot.
There's a parallel.
Yeah.
There's a parallel. But we're not wildlife photographers. Although I have taken some cool pictures of bears through my spotting scope. I have this
when you're glassing?
thing. So I have this thing. You would really like this too. So we'll break out my spotting scope, and I have a thing that adapts to my iPhone, and it clips on, so it aligns the lens of the camera with the spotting scope, and you can take some cool pictures that way. It's still like, it kind of works, but it's not great.
Should definitely do that.
But then you can also get like an adapter for a DSLR, and you can actually then screw your DSLR onto your Saguaro spotting scope. Whoa. And people can take some like crazy good pictures.
Oh, cool.
And like, if you like really take the time to optimize the system, it's incredible what you can do. You're essentially, because that spotting scope, I mean, it's like $5,000. So you have like essentially like a really nice high-end telephoto lens that's like this big.
Do you have the mod where I can put my DSLR on it?
No, because it's Swarovski. Everything that you buy from Swarovski is going to be expensive, and so like the adapter is just like, it's like a $400 adapter or something like that.
Well, we can take photos through your iPhone.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
Those are just as good as my DSLR. I have like an old 7D. It's kind of a junky old camera, but I love it. But so there's the wildlife photography, hunting kind of like parallel. But even beyond that, like even when I'm making a film or something, like I'm trying to work up my own relationship to the subjects or their relationship to themselves and each other if they're like acting. And when the relationship feels right, that's when the moment is captured, Firemen or hunters?
Hunters, that's it.
Yeah. When the relationship...
I think we're going this way.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. Hold on. I didn't realize that there was a...
They look like firemen because they're wearing those yellow jackets, but definitely not. Whoa, which way?
I think right.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm not seeing any of these little offshoots. There just seems to be one road. Okay. So, like, stay on the main road, I guess. thick, man. Steep and thick.
So are we gonna hit the Clear Creek?
We're
Glassing
not.
spot?
This is not the Clear Creek. We're not going to Clear Creek right now.
That's the second spot.
That's the
This is
spot
Bear
up
Peak.
just a little further up. This is Bear Peak. Those are going to be our 2 spots, though. Clear Creek and Bear Peak.
Cool. But Clear Creek is the big drainage.
The big
Are we not
drainage.
supposed to talk about the name specifically?
No, we can't.
Is there like a saying that goes along with that? Like, never talk, like, what would Jesus do? Or is there a way to say, like, don't talk about where you hunt? Or people just say it?
Okay, so I don't...
You don't really...
There's 2 reasons why you wouldn't talk about where you're going hunting. The first of which is because you want to hunt there, and you don't want other people in your hunt spot.
Yeah.
And then the other reason is some people consider it to be like, well, we're talking about it, but what if someone else who's not related to this project we're doing has been hunting here for a long time too?
Tough.
And then you're blowing up like that person's spot.
I mean, once you start like withholding information like that, though, then like...
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think
the
going down a
whole
bad
concept
path.
of it is ridiculous.
It's coming from like a scarcity mindset, which I don't like.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like not telling someone about a good restaurant because you don't want to like wait in line and have to put your name down.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No.
Except there isn't much preparation that goes into going to a restaurant. You just go to the restaurant.
You got to get your car. You got to drive there.
Yeah, but people put in months of the planning, and then to have a bunch of people at the trailhead kind of sucks.
Yeah. Okay. What? Still here. It's still kind of wet under here from the rain.
It is.
I like that. So what do you think the rain means for the blacktail behavior at this point? You think they're going to change it all because it's a little moist?
They might be a little bit more evenly distributed on the landscape.
Because there's like puddles and stuff for them to drink all around. They don't need to be near the water.
Exactly.
That's not good. Or maybe it is. I don't know. For us.
Some of the intermittent streams might be running right now.
What about the fact that it's a full moon tonight?
Is it a full moon?
Tonight or tomorrow, I think.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Really?
Yeah, not good.
Why?
Because they can then get everything done that they need to in a day done at night. Get all their food, get all their water.
They wouldn't be more concerned about predators in the middle of the night if there was a full moon?
They feel more comfortable in the middle of the night from predators. That's why they're out in the middle of the night. Because they have such good hearing and that, like, their primary sense is their nose. And like a mountain lion, their primary sense is their eyes. So the middle of the night doesn't disadvantage the nose at all, but it does disadvantage the eyes.
You don't think mountain lions smell? I mean, obviously they smell, but they're not using scent. Not like a bear or anything.
No, but like when it comes to like the actual kill, right? They're using their eyes.
Do you ever do anything to modify or mask your own scent when you're hunting?
No, that's more of an eastern whitetail thing.
Why?
Because you're sitting in a tree stand, whereas when you're out walking all over the landscape, you're going to be sweating so much and like we're going to be back here, we're going to stink so bad by the time we get out of here, and it's just totally
impossible.
Yeah, it's like disrespectful to the deer to think that this shit that you're spraying on you is like going to do anything. Like you have to use the terrain and the topography and the wind direction to your advantage, and as long as you do that, it doesn't matter how bad you smell.
What if you like rolled around in the leaf litter or something?
Yeah, that would not do anything. Careful on these turns, man. Just wait for the truck coming the other way.
I'm getting close to the spot, and now I want to drive quickly to get there.
Yeah, don't do that.
Anticipation. But I'm pleasantly surprised this is a paved road. So.
Yeah, they told me this was a paved road. I didn't want to tell you that because I didn't want to get your hopes up in case like it's like kind of paved and kind of shitty. It is surprising that this is a paved road, isn't it?
I do wonder if it makes it more likely that there's a parking lot up here with a bunch of other hunting trucks in it because it's paved. Is there a campsite up here that we're gonna camp at, or?
I'm not sure.
Shit.
I mean, it looks like there's a developed trailhead. It doesn't look like there's a developed campsite, though.
It also feels like it's so close.
Yeah, I think it might an owl.
An owl?
Yeah.
That was cool.
And
I wonder if there's any of those, you know, those, what's the endangered owl called?
the spotted owl.
Spotted owl.
Yeah.
I think this is probably spotted owl territory. We're in goshawk territory.
I think of like Oregon as being spotted owl. You know,
but
like the
they're in
dense,
California,
the
but
dense forests
for
on
sure.
the coast.
In Washington.
Yeah. I'm out of LaCroix.
LaCroix.
It's not LaCroix.
It's LaCroix.
Yeah, that's how you say it if you're like a douchebag or something.
How do you say it?
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Yeah. That's
Why do you get LaCroix out of that?
Because that's
It's
the
just so
OIX.
random.
It's French.
Is that really how you would pronounce it in French?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure. It sounds sort of French, doesn't it?
LaCroix?
Yeah.
No, it sounds like... No, it doesn't sound...
I'm interested by this forest. I didn't expect to see this like deciduous kind of like big leaf sort of tree. Like, are those maples?
I don't know what that is. Probably, that makes sense.
I think of like maples being like East Coast, you know? Are there many maples out here?
This is the weeping...
Oh, you think so?
kinda looks
it
like
looks
it,
like a
right?
hemlock of some sort.
The weeping spruce.
Yeah.
Don't the leaves look like they're drooping a little bit? Maybe not. I'm really bad with trees. I want to get better.
I'm pretty sure that those are like, this is like in the maple family. That's obviously an oak right there. But then there were these other ones that we were seeing that looked like maples to me.
Wow, we're getting up here.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just associate this area with being down by the river so much. I've never really driven up to these upper peaks.
Yeah.
When you called and asked the Forestry Service about this road, did the person you were talking to know about it right away, or did they have to like go look it
Yeah,
up?
they know it. Because I called this ranger district. It's like, you think about how much you know about your job, how much I know about my job. Like,
Yeah.
this is their job, knowing these roads.
No,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. They're like, oh yeah, Bear Peak, you'll have no problem getting up there. It's like, sick.
I was worried it would be smoky, but this rain just cleared the air out.
This is just beyond beautiful.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Partly
Like the
cloudy, big
temperature
white
is
cumulus clouds. Crisp.
Yeah, it's just beyond perfect. It's unbelievable. And the little bit of dampness is perfect. It's not too wet, it's not too dry. It's like just amazing.
There was a moment where I thought the trip wasn't going to happen, and then all of a sudden things just started aligning.
Yeah, everything. Just like 1,
Boom,
2,
boom,
3,
boom.
4. And my fantasy team won that night. Like, after I was like supposed to lose, like 99% chance of losing. And I was just like, oh my god, everything is going my way right now.
The ground cover here is interesting. There's like these low-lying shrubs.
I was kind of surprised by the ferns. Okay. I think we want to go straight here.
This is cool. This is really cool. Straight.
Just get,
To
wait,
Bear
give
Lakes.
me a moment.
Kelsey Trail, Elbow Springs.
Give me a moment.
Elbow
Yes,
Springs
straight.
is what
Straight.
I remember seeing on the map where you dropped the point.
You know when you start seeing shot up signs that you're getting it. You're getting to a good spot. So to the right of us was a big burn from 2017.
You can see it right here.
Yeah, just take it easy on this road. Oh, that's big, man. That is big.
Whoa, it's all burned down there, that whole valley.
Just the country is big, though.
Bigger than you thought.
It's huge, yeah. Now we're hunting, man. I feel like now we're...
No, it feels like we entered the hunt.
Yeah.
It seems we entered the dirt road.
The dirt road, yeah.
Ooh, it's a pocket. Ooh. I'm just imagining them not having opened all the forests and this all being closed right now. It'd be such a waste.
It would be such a waste.
But good for them. They made the right decision. Let's give them props.
They opened it back up. Yeah. Or, let me say, they corrected a bad decision. Be a different way to say it.
Okay, so now if you saw a bear or a buck, no, it's still like too roady for you.
No, I would not shoot something that I saw while in a vehicle.
Really?
Yeah.
What about on the last day? And you hadn't got anything?
I don't want to shoot anything that I see from a vehicle while driving.
Okay, but you're not just in a vehicle. You're in a truck on the top of a mountain on a dirt road.
Yeah.
So it's like you've still positioned yourself somewhat. It's not like accidental.
I mean, if you really wanted to, I wouldn't tell you not to. But that's not how I would film my tag.
Okay, what if you saw Bigfoot?
Then I would shoot it.
You would shoot it.
Stone dead.
But you don't have a tag.
I don't need a tag.
You don't need a tag.
I would get a Nobel Prize.
Wait, what did the guy say again?
The first guy to shoot a Bigfoot should
What
get
is
a
that?
Nobel Prize.
In the road.
Oh, it's a gut pile. Someone killed a deer there.
Really?
Yeah. Someone killed a deer right there. Here, careful. I really don't like it when you do this.
Can I back up?
Yeah, because you're not even looking. Yeah, it's a gut pile.
Wait, I want to take a photo of it. But, damn. Was that our deer?
What do you mean our deer? No,
Did someone clean this out already?
That's his deer, whoever
I know,
got that.
but like, you know, I'm kidding, but I sort of feel like... What does a gut pile look like?
Go look at it. It's kind of bad, like, just kind of common courtesy usually to get it off the trail or off the road. I don't know how old it is. It could be old too. Anyway, they're pretty close. Or maybe just like up this hill somewhere close.
So you think that guy that person must have took that deer yesterday, right? Yesterday was opening day.
Or this morning, maybe. Yeah.
It would still be steaming if it was this morning. nothing else left except just the guts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where was the rest of the deer?
Back of his pickup.
He kept everything. The legs?
He probably just gutted it out and threw it in his pickup. Yeah.
Then took it to be processed somewhere?
Or he processed it himself.
And you think he didn't even have it in an icebox or anything?
No, not. He probably threw it in the back of his pickup and then drove in, and he's got his own setup at home or at the processor. Yeah. I mean, like, we're pretty close to, like, Happy Camp, for example. Like, you could very easily.
I wonder if there's a processor there.
Yeah. Or a friend who processes or whatever.
So what is processing entail?
You can easily keep a deer carcass. Like, you don't need to get the carcass on ice immediately. That's more for, like, longer term. But if you're just going to throw it in your pickup and drive to wherever you're going, that's more than fine.
Yeah. So what is processing? Like, what does that mean for you?
It means turning an animal into meat that looks like something you'd buy at a grocery store. Whether that's ground meat, steaks, stew meat, whatever.
So it's butchering it, basically.
Yeah.
And cutting it into, like,
Yeah.
edible or cookable.
You should be able to turn it. It's the process of turning a dead animal that you killed into something that you'd be more than happy giving, like, to your girlfriend's parents. You know, it's like, look at, here's what
Yeah.
like, it's just like all clean, done up, beautifully packaged, and vacuum sealed and wrapped, and just like nice. Give it to someone in a format that anybody would look at and just like recognize, obviously, as food.
Not just anybody, your girlfriend's parents.
Yeah. You know what I mean by that, though?
No,
Like,
totally.
yeah.
Damn, we're up here now. Look at that view. Holy hell.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's the macaque. You can really see it from here where it burned. Oh. Oh.
Doe.
Oh.
Have fun.
Down the fawn.
We're getting up here, man.
Yo,
What if that thing had
did
big-
you see the bounding fawn? Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that fawn was cooking.
So cute. You really want to shoot that?
No, I want to shoot his daddy.
His daddy. Wait, why do they allow you to shoot bucks but not does?
Well, it's unit by unit.
In this unit,
Just
it's
depends
only
on the
bucks.
management. Well, this is over the counter, right?
Yeah.
So if you shoot, generally speaking, you can shoot a ton of bucks out of a population, and it won't ever affect the long-term population trajectory. Because like all the does are still going to get pregnant every year, even if there's a very low number of bucks.
Because one buck will monopolize a bunch of does.
Yeah, one buck can breed 100 does.
So it affects the overall population growth less to take bucks.
It doesn't, almost zero.
Yeah.
In many cases, it can actually lead to a higher population because then all that food that buck would have eaten now goes to all the fawns.
But what about homogeneity in the gene pool? It's not really.
I'm not sure that like there's issues with like genetic bottlenecking in deer. It's
Yeah.
like not. There's a lot of genetic diversity in the deer. So yeah, it's kind of if you want to think about it like from a sustainability standpoint, like you can always have like a healthy deer herd out there, and then you can just like take the cream off the top, take the bucks off, every single year, and you're gonna always have a healthy, sustainable population that you can go back to year after year by taking out the bucks. But like if there's an area where like the biologists want to like
See, this is totally different. This is a different pine right now.
I think those are ponderosis.
Yeah, and it looks like it might have been logged around.
Yeah,
too.
they're ponderosis.
It's like the whole climate just kind of changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then other areas, right, the deer herd might be a little bit over objective, and so
Over objective meaning too many?
too many, yeah. And in those situations, they'll start offering more and more doe permits. And if this were a limited entry unit, the problem is if you just let everybody and their grandmother buy a doe tag, like you could really drive down the population. If you wanted to be able to make this an either sex tag and shoot does on it, you'd probably need to limit the number of people who could get this permit.
that gut pile is just in the middle of the damn road.
Dude, we're like into deer right now. We're seeing gut piles, we're seeing deer. I like that those deer were on their feet midday. That's an encouraging sign.
They were skipping.
They're normally in their little hidey holes this time of day.
It's cool out though.
Yeah, but
Cloud cover.
they don't like to be out when they can be seen. Both of us are like so keyed in on deer now that we just saw those deer. Like,
I imagine it can get to you after a while, where you're just like, look, like if you spend 4 days glassing for deer, you just get obsessed.
You're just
and,
like
kind of only have eyes for deer.
you're just everything's deer. Yeah.
Ugh, I don't want that. I mean, it sounds kind of nice, but also intense.
Yeah. Talk about that like with like hunters versus like non-hunters is like
I feel like I
if
get
I'm
it
with
because
like
of steelhead fishing.
if I'm with like my girlfriend or something like that and we're looking at like a view or like a mountain or like a vista, like we're not seeing the same thing. You know, like our experience of viewing that is going to be very different for a hunter because like I'm always just like so like analytically like immediately like, trying to parse it apart, like okay, there's that cut, they're probably going to use that for this, and like if during the mornings I would go, you know, and then I'm just like so keyed in on like where are the deer, you know.
And what's she looking for?
Just like, oh, look at the mountain. Look at the pretty mountain.
I mean, it's so interesting when you learn about something, whether it's deer or birds or whatever, you suddenly start to see all these distinctions that don't really exist to people. Like I was talking to someone who like taught science classes to like young students in LA public schools and had a bird watching section of their program. And she was telling me that like before they had the bird watching section, like the kids would be like, that's a bird, that's a bird, that's a bird. It was just like there was birds.
Just birds.
There's birds. And all birds were birds.
They all went into one category in their brain. Bird.
But then after, you know, suddenly there were all of these distinctions and differences that they could recognize. So there's so many more birds. And I really think that if you don't...
You gotta opposite. Yeah.
Oh! There's a truck.
Yeah.
Young kids.
Is there a deer in the back? No.
But you know, if you're not looking for different kinds of birds, all you see is one bird.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at a mountain without trying to parse the different patterns in it for deer, you're just seeing a mountain or whatever. That's how I feel about the trees, like the coniferous trees. Like I can kind of recognize the weeping spruce, but other than that, it all looks the same to me.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Here we go, Chase.
Those
Look at
kids were
that over
funny
there.
back there.
What's that?
Those kids looked funny. They were like excited.
They're riding on the pickup.
Hanging off the pickup truck. Yeah, this looks great.
This is what we came for, this kind of stuff right here.
It's beautiful.
Up here.
All right, so up here for a little bit is going to be the first trailhead. That would take you over to like Kelsey Lake, I guess. I identified. Like, there's a couple good passing points in here. I'd like to see, just because it's the afternoon right now, if we can get to that, if this road continues past this this trailhead right here. Well, I want to know what the quality of that road is. So let's keep going, but we're close.
I mean, I can't imagine it'll be much worse than what it is now. I mean, why would...
It could be a lot worse than it is now. This is a gorgeous road that we've had so far.
No, I know, but why would it change? Just because there's a trailhead and they stop maintaining it after the
exactly. They're trying to get you to that trailhead, and then they let it go after that. God, this country is big. I tell you what, man, there are definitely bucks up here that are dying of old age. There's no question about it.
What else would eat a buck or take a buck?
Bear. But bears really nail the fawns.
Yeah, a bear can't take down a buck. I think it would be so hard to catch.
Or a lion.
A lion would, yeah. Which way?
Just stop. See, this is what I figured. Yeah, so this is the trailhead.
To the right.
So that is the trail. This is the road.
Okay, let's see.
Now, if it gets sketchy, we'll just back out, but...
It smells so good with the moisture.
You know what's amazing is how few people we're seeing back here. Just take it slow on this. I have a feeling this is going to get not so bueno. Oh, dude, this mountainside, this burnt mountainside. The problem, I would like it. It's got a lot of things going for it, except it's a southern exposure.
But don't you want to be looking at the edge, like where the forest meets the burn, rather than just straight?
But
burn?
look at how like you've got open spots, but then you've also got some thick patches that deer can hole up in and use as cover. Like if this were just like a torched, barren landscape, then yeah, you'd want to find some cover nearby. But this is old enough of a burn that it's got some cover coming up inside of it already. But like I said, it's a southern exposure, so that makes it less desirable as a spot.
I could see bear in here too.
Oh, definitely.
It's very berry. Juncos.
Is that what that bird was?
Yeah, a little flock of juncos. Been seeing some Stellar's jays flying around here. Saw a flicker.
You like those birds?
Yeah, I like juncos are everywhere. Flickers are pretty cool. Stellars we don't have down in SoCal really. Some in the upper elevations. So which one is Bear Peak actually?
It's back there.
Oh, that way.
It might be that way. That's a good glassing spot.
Yeah, that's it'd be cool to just sit in the back of the truck in our chairs too. Just pop them up here.
You could totally do that. Like the fact that there are so few hunters in here makes that like a very doable strategy. Like in Colorado where you've got hundreds of hunters, you gotta get back. Whereas there's so few hunters here that you don't really need to worry about that here.
So when you're hunting in Colorado, are you as far away from city centers or like just places where people live as we are now, or is this far?
I don't think that there's anywhere in the entire state of Colorado that's as far away from city centers as we are.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, birds, don't go tell your dear friends that we're here. They have informants.
They do. Deer will totally key into like birds and squirrels when they start chirping at you.
I'm like looking for deer, but I also like don't want to see a deer until we like get out of the car and officially start hunting.
Yeah, if you saw like the only big deer
Yeah.
the entire trip
That'd be pretty cool.
out driving in. It always happens to me when I'm turkey hunting. I'll turkey hunt for like just hours and hours and hours and hours. And then
Let's go here. Whoa. This is an interesting decision we have.
we want to go that way.
What's this way?
Where we're gonna hunt.
But why do you want to go this way? What do you? Did you put a waypoint already over here?
Yeah, a good glassing area. Although this is a good glassing area right here.
What?
This is an outstanding glassing area right here.
And just pop. We could just pull over and just sit in the back of the truck. Should we just do that? Like eat lunch and then just chill here and glass?
No, dude, we're in the middle of a road.
True. Well, we could always move it if someone comes.
I'm gonna actually mark that. That's so beautiful. Remember how we said we wanted to get there at 3?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what we said?
Yeah.
It's 2:52 right now. So we're actually doing pretty good. We'll probably be there in not too much longer.
So beautiful over here.
Don't slow down through the mud.
Oh. Damn. It's okay, it's a ram. Why do you think he's here?
It's just where he wants to hunt. That's amazing. That's the first hunter we've seen. That is amazing.
Possible hunter.
Think that guy's a bird watcher? He wasn't a ram.
Could be anything. Could be burying a body
Burying a body.
on the opening day of hunting season in the woods.
Bad day to pick and bury a body.
So do the bucks have like territories that they guard from other bucks?
No. No, they're gonna be in bachelor herds this time of year.
Oh.
So the bucks hang out with the bucks, and the does hang out with the does. And does don't like bucks.
Word.
And then come the rut, right? Then they'll start beating the crap out of each other.
The bachelor herds.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. See if you can. I think this is actually a decent spot to pull to the side. Is someone in there?
Here, Chase, careful.
I see one.
let me get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good, yo. It's like a whole family of huntresses.
Yeah.
It's like 3 little daughters in there.
He said he saw a bunch of does.
That's cool.
So there's deer in here.
I mean, we saw the doe.
Do you think that they have high-end glass?
I don't think they're getting very far from their car. Regardless of their glass.
They might have high-end glass. Hard to say.
It's also Sunday, so it seems like a lot of these people who are out here are aren't packing. You know? I think we're gonna have these mountains all to ourselves starting tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be so nice. If we happen to see a spot where you can pitch a couple tents, we should just stop and pitch our tents because we're really close now.
Okay. Is it a trailhead that we're trying to get to, or what is it?
It doesn't appear as if it is a...
You just dropped it there because it's close to spotting sites?
Yeah. Traversing this country is going to be
Extremely hard.
near impossible.
Yeah. We ain't getting very far off the trail.
This is, yeah, really, really, really intense.
I would love to get up over this ridge to the next watershed.
Well, that's what we're going to be glassing. I want to glass that over there.
Yeah.
My glassing spot that I marked is up there.
Oh, cool. It's like not far off.
And then we would glass that side that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because normally I don't like to glass the same watershed where the road goes through it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And there's no roads over there?
No.
Woo!
That's wilderness over there. Like federal designation starts like right up there.
Oh, really? What's this here?
This is just Klamath National Forest.
Got it.
That's Siskiyou Wilderness up there.
Got it.
I'm really hoping up there we can, if there's a flat spot, we'll be right in the world. And we're done and we'll camp. Set up our tents. Come on, flat spot.
Feeling it?
Are you feeling it?
Yeah, it looks like a nice little cut. I don't know if it's super flat, but I think it'll be like down here to the right. It looks like it.
Anywhere.
In the saddle. Woo! Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, is that a little pull off on the right there, Chase?
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh no, it dead ends. We're done. Dude, Dude, the fact that we just got this. Are you kidding me?
It's literally perfect. There's
Are you
even a little
kidding
fire.
me? Dude, this is our spot. This is our spot. You wanted the spot chase where you can glass from your campsite?
Yeah, you got it. This is perfect.
Dude, I need to hunt California more, man. The fact that
Turn you into a California hunter. You're
The
gonna
fact-
move back to Cali.
just this is unheard of, man. That this is our spot.
and that there's no one around.
There's no one around. It's unheard of. Dude, I think California, between this experience that we're having right now and the fact that there's nobody fishing on the Trinity, like I think California might be like the last true frontier. You know? Like anywhere else in the West, the rivers would have been mobbed, the wilderness would have been mobbed. It's opening day of deer season. Opening weekend.
I mean, it's not empty out here. We're on one dirt road. We saw what? One.
Chase, it is empty. Empty.
I guess I have nothing to compare it to. But I have to say, this spot feels preordained. Like, this is perfect.
This is our
The
spot.
end of the road, right by the glassing site, all these drainages.
We're gonna step out.
Well, load the gun up. Get it ready. That's the first thing, right?